So I'm an only child who grew up in a little town outside of Boston, Massachusetts, to a single mother who unfortunately really struggled with bipolar disorder. She would get really manic and physically abusive. And before you know it, the police are there arresting my mom. She'd end up in a mental hospital, and I would end up in a foster home. In the foster care system, unfortunately, is where the sexual abuse and physical abuse began for me. So my mom always fought for me. I was taken away from her time and time again. She never gave up on me, and she, till this day, is really my hero. And at 16 years old, I met my high school sweetheart, Giovanni. We joined the military. He joined the Marines, and I joined the US Army. Gio, unfortunately, went to Iraq. That was when the war in Iraq happened. When I came back, we moved to California. So when he came back from war, thankfully, we decided to move again across the country. During the day I was in the military, it was a crazy life, but I feel like we were finding a bit of balance there. One night, a friend of ours called us and said, hey, come out for drinks. So we drove to this club, drank way more alcohol than what we should have, and got into the car. We were going about 180 miles per hour, which is about 240 kilometers an hour. We ended up smashing into a ditch. Gio was in a coma for 12 hours, and I was ejected out of the car and ended up breaking my back. I had to have emergency surgery on my spine. They put metal fusion, metal in my leg. I got out of that hospital and I was determined to go for what I wanted. So I still wanted to act, I wanted to perform. I was in the military and I was in hair school. So I decided to start modeling. Unfortunately, the following year, we had a party at our house and we were drinking at home, safe. I went to sleep because the next day I had my 1 week and a month with the Army. And when I woke up, Gio wasn't next to me. I was really worried, where is he? What's going on? I got back home and I noticed that the hospital had called. And I remember I walked in and I saw the nurse and the doctor. And they just looked down. And they said to me, I'm so sorry, he didn't make it. It was such a shock to lose my husband at that time because I had never lost anyone. I started drinking alcohol, got into a whole bunch of terrible relationships until there was a conference in Las Vegas for a hair company I worked with. And I met this man and he was from Australia. And I was like, you know what? Cool, this guy's different. I've never met anyone from Australia. I don't even know where Australia is. We ended up falling in love and I said, I'm out. I'm moving, I'm leaving America, I'm running away from my life. I'm gonna start fresh in Australia. That relationship didn't work out. I met another man in Australia and that relationship didn't work out. And it wasn't until I got dumped on my birthday that I really looked in the mirror. And the common denominator in my hot mess of a life was me. It was really my personal trainer, who was my only friend in Melbourne, who ended up being my husband, who said to me, listen, have you ever tried life coaching? I had no idea what he was talking about. But my first session, I got hooked. I went to seminars, personal development, business development, healing, retreats, you name it, I did it. I wanted to help women do this. When I moved to Melbourne, I became a fashion stylist and I started running these confidently styling workshops for women. So by this time, Hamish and I have a son and I was pregnant with my second son, Nava. I had a home birth and that experience really birthed this powerful woman who was no longer gonna play small. I was so on fire for supporting women who had went through similar things as me, who were lacking confidence, who were not showing up, speaking up, standing up, and owning who they were. It's time that we create our confidence. It's time for us to stand up. And I am honored to be able to share this message here with you today.